The Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel welcomes you to this edition of the Mayor's and Supervisors Weekly Update, brought to you by...
Each week, our community makes history. Each week, you make history. And each week, there's only one source to turn to for the first take on history. You know what that is? Subscribe to the Sentinel right now to discover the history being made in your own backyard.
The Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel. More than just your news, it's your history.
Welcome, everyone, to this week's edition of the Mayor's and Supervisors Update. I'm Chris Carosa, publisher of the Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel, and each week we bring you the goings-on in the towns and villages that we cover. This week we'll be starting with Mike Falk in the town of Lima. Mike, what's Lima looking like?
Hello, Chris. Thanks for having us. It is cold and wintry, but as we are about to come into March, it is time to talk about Livingston County's Main Streets Going Blue to promote the awareness of getting your colon tested to avoid colorectal cancer. We will be posting our big sign here in front of the town hall. As many of you know, I am a colorectal cancer survivor, and I just completed colonoscopy number 8 last week. Sailed through with flying colors. Now, this time around, they did actually allow me to use one of the at-home tests first and then come in for the colonoscopy. The at-home tests are very easy. You don't have to do much. They ship it to you. Some are cards, some are boxes, etc. But I would encourage you to get screened. I would encourage you to get screened because colorectal cancer is a very slow-moving, slow-growing cancer. And if indeed you do have a couple of polyps, during the colonoscopy, they can be removed and analyzed, etc. But the removing even of the regular benign polyps that most people end up getting one from time to time can actually decrease your risk of colorectal cancer by 70%. Now, having been in and out of surgery 7 times for the colorectal cancer that I got when I was 40, I would encourage you to avoid going to the operating room and instead just go and get screened. Call your physician. They can ship you the stuff to your house. If the test is inconclusive, they'll ask you to come in, get your colonoscopy, and be on your way. The alternative is much, much worse. And that's all I got, Chris.
All right. Thanks, Mike. And over to John in the town of Mendon. What's moving in Mendon, John?
Well, definitely we're in the midst of winter here, and we're like everyone else, we're getting through it. And maybe some folks had a chance to escape it, especially with it school break week. We're in the midst of school break week. Bonnie Toomey, who's been our deputy town clerk for a number of years, is retiring. She'll be here on and off for a few days here. So if you're by, be sure and stop by or send her your well wishes. But her official retirement date isn't until next month because she's going to use up some of her vacation. But we certainly appreciate Bonnie over the years, has done a great job here at the town of Mendon, and certainly wish her the best in retirement. A few projects that we have slated for 2025. One, as I have talked about, and I thought we'd maybe get a little more done in 2024 than we did, but the sidewalks in and around the hamlet, obviously is we're working towards actually putting a shovel in the ground this year. And at the community center Legion, we're looking at putting a entrance into the basement for the Legionnaires, which they've never had before. And we have some stormwater issues around town that we'll be addressing, one of them being on Amon Road and a couple others throughout the town. Let's see, there's a retaining wall in the hamlet near the Irondequoit Creek that we're working with the state on repairing that. And once soccer season is over, redoing the soccer fields on Summel Road and putting in an additional field. So obviously there will be other smaller projects, and you never know when the wheels are going to fall off something else. But we'll be doing those things in 2025. And of course, I forgot about the street lights in the hamlet. That's another one that we're fairly decent sized project that we'll be working on in 2025. So I'll keep you informed as the year progresses, and we look forward to maybe turning the calendar to March and seeing some kind of spring going forward.
Okay, is that it, John?
That'll do it.
All right, thanks. Over to Rick in Honeoye Falls. What's happening in Honeoye Falls?
Oh, Chris, it's great to see you and everyone else. Appreciate the time as always. Just a couple things from the village side. Last night I attended a meeting with the with the Monroe County Association of Villages. This is a group where every other month or so, the village mayors get together, talk about what's going on in their community, maybe some grant success they've had, or projects that we can all kind of talk about to see if it, something that Brockport might be doing or Pittsford might be doing might work well in Honeoye Falls. So it's a nice time to get together to talk about, common goals, common needs, etc. We also will have a guest speaker come in every once in a while. And last night, New York State DOT Commissioner Marie-Therese Dominguez came in, along with Chris Reeves, who is our regional New York State DOT director working out of Henrietta, and a couple of the other communication members came in, along with one of the representatives from Governor Hochul's team, local Finger Lakes rep. And usually every year around this time, no matter who is governor, they'll send out some of their commissioners, some of their team members to meet with different groups, towns, villages, different associations to talk about the proposed budget. Last night, as I said, New York State DOT Commissioner Dominguez came in and really highlighted just some of the topics of the governor's proposed budget. That is out there. Now both the Assembly and the Senate members put their House budgets together. They propose those, and then the three groups come together and talk about what's the final state budget going to be. But while we had the DOT commissioner, I wanted to take the opportunity to ask a couple questions. And I'm sure my counterparts in Lima, Mendon, Rush, et cetera, get some of the same questions. But we have an awful lot of bicycle enthusiasts that approach us, really looking for safer travel on bikes in our communities. They'd like to see bike lanes created, and those types of things. And those are all very important. But what we also have to understand is that a lot of planning has to go into this type of discussion. So while New York State and Monroe County, and I'm sure Livingston County, are promoting safe streets and safe travel, and with new development, let's add a bike lane, let's widen the road and create larger paths, etc. When you look at a village like Honeoye Falls and a town of Mendon and village of Lima and the town of Lima, these roads have been in place for a couple of 100 years. They were not built to create bike paths. Now, that doesn't mean that can't be done, but again, it takes a lot of planning. So my question to the DOT, of course, was, could we work with the DOT not only for long-term planning, but could we get a detail of our current roads that are state-related? And I'll ask the same thing of the county, that they control, if you will, and what is their plan? What is their long-term plan for these roads? We know, and we talked about this in length on these Sentinel calls last year, West Main Street in the village of Honeoye Falls was just repaved. A lot of effort went into that. And while it may have been nice to create some bicycle lanes at that time, That wasn't part of the plan. Well, now that that road is repaved, I know the Monroe County DOT is not going to want to touch that for at least 5 years or more before they think about resurfacing again. So the point is, let's work together. Let's develop some plans. We know we're all hearing more and more about this, and there's nothing wrong with creating these bicycle lanes or more sidewalks, etc., but it takes planning. So my goal is going to be to work with New York State and Monroe County DOTs to look at their long-term plans, understand what those plans are, and then work with our residents and those groups that are coming to us to give them a realistic time. It's one thing to meet and say, yes, we need some bicycle lanes, etc., but it's not going to happen overnight. So that's one of the things we're going to be looking at. I also wanted to bring up, again, as we talk about some of our other local municipalities, the Village of Honeoye Falls wants to put together a committee to look at a New York Forward program or the DRI program, but more than likely the New York Forward program. And what that is, it's a grant program that is funded by the state of New York, and it's generally for $4 to $5 million to a community. It's a lot of work, a lot of detail to put this request together. But the goal is, if you are awarded one of these programs, that you will also, with that project, bring in at least an additional $7 million of privately funded projects. So that 4.4 or $5 million turns into 12 or $13 million in development. Well, the Village of Phelps, the Village of Brockport just received those grants. The City of Canandaigua just received, I don't remember if that was a New York Forward or if it was the DRI, but Canandaigua just received, I believe, the $10 million project. But we want to work on that in the Village of Honeoye Falls as well. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of community involvement and community interaction. So this is not something that's going to happen overnight, but we will be reporting in the Sentinel, on the Sentinel, in our Facebook and website pages, and we'll try to get that information out of what we're going to be looking for. But it's going to be a long-term project that I hope will benefit the village and certainly the greater community. So that's something we're going to be working on. I do want to put a plug in for our village elections are coming up on March 18th. Village elections, Tuesday, March 18th. It's important to note that these village elections are only held at Village Hall. They go from noon to 9 p.m. and they are run by the County of Monroe. The village does not run these elections. We will be posting, again, those who are up for election. We have 3 positions, the mayor and 2 trustees. All are running for re-election, but we will certainly post anyone else who is running as well. But that is, again, March 18th from noon to 9 p.m. And it's important that we all get out, whether there are contested elections or not, but get out and cast your ballot, because this is something that's a right to vote or not to vote, but it certainly, in my opinion, is a duty for all of us to cast our ballots in each and every election that we have an opportunity to voice our opinions. Lastly, and this is just something we're beginning to talk about, but it'll come up fast. On April 26th, it is our Environmental Day in the village. So we host a festival at Harry Allen Park, generally weather dependent, could be at the fire hall. We have some vendors and those who want to display some environmentally friendly information packets, etc. And that usually starts, again, mid-morning through the afternoon. That is on the 26th of April. And on that day, we also have a village cleanup. So in our village parks, along the creek banks, etc., many of our community groups get out and do some village pickups, et cetera, which is always appreciated. But on April 12th, in addition to that, that is going to be the Monroe County Parks pickup date. Pick up the parks on April 12th. That is going to be from 9 a.m. till noon. And my thought at this point in time, strictly focusing on Monroe County, is I'm going to reach out to our local supervisors. Supervisor Moffitt's on today, but I'm going to reach out to Henrietta and Pittsford and all those that would be involved in the surrounding Mendon Ponds Park area. And maybe we can get some volunteers to band together to do some work in Mendon Ponds Park as well. So more coming on that, but we'll have our village parks pickup, but then also on April 12th, we're going to try to do something in the Monroe County Mendon Ponds Park. So more to follow on that, but I just wanted to get that thought process out there. So Chris, I appreciate the time. Great to see everybody as always.
Thanks, Rick. Anybody else have anything else to add? Seeing nothing, thank you guys for being here, and thank you all for watching. Remember, this program airs every Sunday at 1 p.m. on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Like the page or subscribe to the channel, and those platforms will notify you when the broadcast starts. Otherwise, you can read the transcript in next week's paper. That's all for this week. We'll see you later. Bye-bye for now.
Imagine yourself communicating with a difference. Pan-Dimensional Solutions helps you do this. Whether live spectator events, taped broadcasts, or real-time audience-engaging programs, you can benefit immediately from the tools Pan-Dimensional Solutions will share with you. Do you want to make a difference? Contact us at pandimensional.com.